Salutations, tubers. Welcome back to the layout room for this, a kind of an equipment overview, kind of a mini review, I suppose, of this, which is a Lionel Lionchief Plus NW-2 diesel electric switcher. Was briefly featured in the 2024 layout overview video I did, but due to technical limitations of having to run the thing with the phone and try to film with the phone, I couldn't really demonstrate all the different features. And run the thing at the same time and film it. So did a little shopping and found a Lionchief Universal Remote, which is going to come in handy for other things besides. And now we can kind of run the locomotive and film it separately. So I guess without further ado, let's get on with it, shall we? So as said, it's a NW-2 diesel electric switcher. This was an early in-cab switcher produced by Electromotive Division of General Motors. The early ones had about 900 horsepower. I think this is one of the later ones. Got about 1,000, give or take. I'd have to go look at the data sheets to be 100% certain on that. But yeah, this has kind of been a classic in the Lionel stable for a long, long time. Been making these since the post-war era. In fact, I'm not entirely certain if this is the post-war tooling, but it's very, very similar. I mean, all the way down to the little builder's plate that says built by Lionel there. So I was watching another review of these by Eric's Trains. I mean, don't exactly want to parrot what he said, but one kind of point he brought up is that this is kind of a what if sort of thing. I mean, what if the original Lionel had stayed in business and kept making trains and then threw all their electronic gewgaws and improvements into the model? So this would be more or less what you'd get. And I kind of agree with that assessment. Because, I mean, to look at it all over, I mean, it looks like a post-war one. But it's just been touched up a bit. I mean, you've got wire handrails instead of the stamped metal ones, which I really like. We've got LED marker lights that change color depending on what direction the locomotive is running. So in forward, it's got white, which that would make this an extra, which, for those of you familiar how class lights work, that'd actually kind of be appropriate for a switcher because it wouldn't be a regularly scheduled train. And when you're backing up, they turn red for tail lights. And then your headlight, you've also switches, which I think is very neat. Cab light also lights up. We don't have any crew figures or anything because the motor lives in there. So the windows are frosted over. I should say motor. It's only got one, I do believe. Yeah. Motor's actually up here, sorry. So back here would be electronics, but it's still a neat effect. And we've got our rear headlight, which illuminates when we're backing up. And we've got our electrocouplers. And that's kind of what kind of makes this model, in my opinion. Because a switcher, you kind of need couplers that can fire anywhere on the layout, anywhere you're running. And some of my other switcher type locomotives, you have to do this manually or with the uncoupling magnets. And you can do it. It's just a little tricky. And some of the other, like the base Lionchief engines I have, they're not really good as switchers, because they kind of do jackrabbit starts, and that's very, very not conducive to good switching. You know, you don't want to be slamming things around or running over a buffer stop or whatever. So this thing, when I fire it up, I'll demonstrate this thing just absolutely crawls, and it's so smooth. And in a way, I'm really, really glad I found it. But as to why nickel plate 13, well, it's kind of an interesting story. This is actually a bit of a reject, I would suppose. I found this in a consignment store of all places, and the box was absolutely totaled. I mean, it looked like a grizzly bear had went into it. I mean, totally ripped up. Just, I could not believe what had actually been done. But on the inside, the inner curtain was good, and the locomotive looked good. So we actually came to a bit of an agreement. So I paid about half price what they want this thing. I think this thing retails for like $400 or $500. Like $450, somewhere in there. I'd have to get the catalog out and look, but it's very pricey. But I picked this one up for about $2. So put it on the track, everything fired up and ran. So I would call that a success. I mean, all my locomotives are different. I mean, I try to get specific ones when I can, but this was a case of the price was just too good to pass up. So I guess without further ado, me yapping, we'll go ahead and fire it up. It is really neat that they put, I don't know if you're going to be able to read that, but it is a legible builder's mark by EMD. That's pretty neat. So I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and turn our layout power on. And the ever popular, ever present Lionchief chirp. So we'll go ahead and turn on our remote here. And there we go. Yeah. That's the stuff. So as per usual, you get your horn, your crew talk.
Still waiting. Am I clear yet? Over. Roger that. The lead is yours. Over. Thank you much. I've got clearance to pull. Out.
And then you get your bell, of course. But this is what makes this one, in my opinion. Electric couplers. Yeah. I mean, it is fun to operate this thing in voice control and to throw the couplers. I mean, it's a bit of a gimmick way to do it, but it's also kind of fun. But I do like it with this handheld, so now, as previously mentioned, it makes switching a lot more easy to do. So we'll go ahead and show off that crawl, or put her into reverse and go real slow. Yeah, that's the stuff. There we go, got some smoking action. Smoke unit in this thing is awesome. And I love how when you throttle up, the smoke puffs up just like you're throttling up a prime mover on a real diesel. And when you take it back down to idle, it goes back down to next to nothing, which I think is pretty cool. So I guess without further ado, we'll go back onto our train. We'll take her for a few laps around the layout. Isn't that lovely? We'll go ahead and cut the cars off. We'll bring her over and we'll wrap up with some conclusions. A little bit more. Of course, even with electric couplers, it ain't perfect.
Still waiting. Am I clear yet? Over. Roger that. The lead is yours. Over. Thank you much.
There it goes.
Clearance to pull. Out.
Sweet. Yes. Go ahead and shut her down. So if you're on the fence, I would say about maybe buying a legacy engine, and you want, maybe you feel like splurging a little and maybe find one of these on sale, kind of like I did, I would suggest getting one of these. This Lionchief stuff, Lionchief Plus, excuse me, has just kind of been impressing the heck out of me. And normally I'm a dyed-in-the-wool steam engine guy. I mean, I love steam locomotives more than diesels, but this whole thing has been impressing me ever since I got it. So, yeah. Definitely worth checking out if you can ever find one of these things. I would say maybe look for a dealer or somebody, maybe get a little bit off that MSRP because Lionel's a bit high. And I've seen all the rigmarole with the catalog, so I'm not going to go through that. Let's just say I think they're kind of nuts for what they're wanting to charge for stuff. But that's another kettle of fish, maybe for another time. I might discuss it if anybody would be interested in hearing my thoughts. But there's so many other videos about that. Probably not worth getting into. But this little baby, I mean, Lionel did awesome. This is just awesome. Until next time, tubers.